Welcome to the Space Between podcast. Today's topic is the fine line between mental health and spirituality. And we have today's guest is Jacy Nittolo. Actually, just to give a little, tip of information, her and I have the same name, spelled the same way. We'll get into that later. But Jacy Nittolo is here with us along with her ex-partner here, Joey Nittolo, who's also the co-host of the show. So today's show should be very interesting. That's all I got to say. So first and foremost, Jacy, tell us where you're from.
I am from Los Angeles, born and raised here my whole life.
Okay, and how were you raised? How was your upbringing as far as like growing up in
raised?
LA?
How are you raised?
I had a good life. I was a good student. I had a really normal, beautiful, healthy family life until about age 11. And
How was 11 for you?
Wait, can we start over? I think we can start over.
What
do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, start the question over.
Well, first, I just want to know, how were you raised? Like, as far as like what?
Okay, so I was raised
Jewish. You're Jewish.
In a Jewish family.
Okay.
My parents were happily married. I have two brothers.
Okay.
Very normal. Well, what I thought was normal at the time, but a very healthy life until age 11. Like, mom would cook dinner every night. We would sit at the family dinner every night. We had barbecues every weekend. Dad would go to work. Very normal until age 11.
So you keep saying until age 11. So, the only question I would have is,
what the hell happened at age 11?
Happened at age 11? Like, age 11.
Some unusual circumstances happened. I'll just leave it like that. Just some unusual stuff. My dad was driving to work one day, and he never came home ever again. So life changed for me at that age.
Totally.
To make a long story short.
No, I trust me, I get it. A part of this podcast, the connection points that we have, a lot of it's through loss. A lot of what I became awakened to in my life was through loss. So I totally understand. They were both how to articulate it and how not to. So I get it. I totally get it. But really coming back to just understanding the fact that you and I have the same name, I'll tell a little brief story about that. I met Joey, just to give you guys a little tidbit information. I met Joey 9 months ago. Yep. In Arizona on a boat trip. Yeah, brother went on a boat trip. Don't know why, but I did. And I was the only brother there at the boat trip. The boat trip was like a mini Burning Man, I would say, of sorts. And I met Joey. He was like the first person I met. I was saying a bunch of crazy things. I think I called him Big Sexy at one point. That's also a character in one of his movies. I had no idea. And then at one point I see my name on his arm, like my real name, Jacy, on his arm. And I'm freaking out because, for me, that's kind of weird. I've never seen my name on anyone's arm. So I see it on this big, tall, why you doing in my room? I'm like, what why you got my name on your arm? Next thing you know, he tells me about you. So that's how we get here to now. That's how we all get here to now.
Yeah,
definitely a trip.
No one has my name.
No one has my damn name.
Especially spelled the same way. That's weird. That's weird.
So, that in itself is a whole nother conversation. But really, I want to understand how we connect these dots as far as like the fine line between mental health and spirituality. What you experienced through witnessing Joy's awakening is definitely that fine line, because what he felt and what you saw are two different things.
Well, let's go back. Do you want to go back to like where we met and
no, we'll come back to yeah. So how did you guys meet? What was the first meeting? Because as I've been told, that's actually a podcast in itself. What was the first meeting?
It's never been a dull moment. I'll just put it that way. We met when I was 20 years old. Joey was 26. We were drinking green drinks at a club in Hollywood. And I actually spotted him across the room. He was wearing like a long leather coat, and he looked like a bad boy. And all my friends were like, oh, that's Joey Nittolo. They're like, stay away from him. He's trouble. And so I walked right up to him. I had to know what was going on with trouble. And we had a green drink together. We exchanged phone numbers. And then the next day he called me, and he invited me out to dinner. And I was 20, so I had no car. I don't know why I didn't have a car that week, but
you remember
I was in the process of buying a new car.
Buying the Isuzu soon.
Yeah. So I had to rent a car, and because I was under 21, the only car I could get was a rent-a-wreck for $19.95 a day. So here we are the next night. I'm like fuck, I got this ugly piece of shit. I got to drive to this date with this hot guy. And he's in Hollywood. And it's like 6 o'clock. I'm ready to leave to go on this date. And my car, I'm all ready. You know, I got my leather jacket on, my skirt, my boots. And I get in my car to go, and my car won't start. Okay, mind you, there's no cell phones 24 years ago. There was no cell phones, nothing. So my car's not starting for like 30 minutes. And meanwhile, at his apartment, he's getting held up at gunpoint. So it's funny how fate and life works, because if my car would have started on time and I got to his apartment on time, it would have been a different situation.
There was,
anyway,
go ahead.
30 minutes later, my car started. So I rolled down to Hollywood, parked the big piece of shit in front of his apartment, and I like knocked all excited on his door, and there was like chaos going on inside the apartment. Everyone's running around.
3 minutes, the guys with the gun had left within, couldn't have been more than a minute and a half. Like there's no way there's no way they didn't see her. I was like, I walked by when she came to the door. She knocked at the door. I had time to go. I grabbed a beer and opened the door. And I looked at her and I'm like, "Did you see anyone run by you?" And she was like, "No." I'm like,
but everyone in the apartment was like running circles around each other. And he goes, "You told me to have a seat on the couch." And I was just like watching everything that was going on, and I knew something just went down. It was obvious. And so he goes, "Come here, I got to talk to you." And he takes me outside, and we sit on the curb. And he goes, "I need to go take care of some business, but I really like you. I really want to see you again tonight. So don't go back home." And he goes, "I'll meet you. Can we meet in like an hour?" So I was like, "All right."
At the snake pit?
I drove this Rent-A-Wreck to the bar down the street. I didn't have an ID on me, but I ordered a beer, and thank God they served me. And then like an hour went by, and I'm like, "This fucker, he never showed up." So then I get up to leave, and he walks through the front door as I'm walking out. And I was like, "All right, you came back." So we hung out for a little bit. We hung out for a couple hours. And then he goes, I'm like, "You're not going to kiss me goodbye?" And he goes to give me a kiss goodbye. And I get in the car, close the door, and his shirt got caught in my door. And I drove home with his shirt hanging out the car door the rest of the ride home. Anyway, and from that day on, we spent every night together in like hotel rooms all over LA.
Because
he was afraid to go home.
Yeah, so what happened was I left and had to go deal with what had happened. But I was thinking I had to get back, because I was thinking I wanted to get back to see her.
Yeah.
But obviously my adrenaline and a lot of things were going at the time. But I got back, and from there, it was almost like everything coming to like a finale at that point, right at the day we met, because at that point I knew that I had to move because I wasn't safe at that place where I was at. So we stayed at hotels all over Los Angeles. But in that time, those 3 weeks, we sat up and just talked about
nothing else happened. We just talked about life and drank ourselves to death. We would cry and talk about our lives.
For like 3 weeks. It was like
all
3 weeks.
All through the night, all through the day. And we just sat in hotel rooms crying and talking. We were like two lost, broken souls.
Yeah, like for real. Like, so so that situation sent us for us staying all over the place. And it almost started us to talk about a plan of how we weren't going to do that. Because she grew up, and what she was talking about 11 is her father was taken away and was incarcerated in the witness protection program. So that's why it's hard for her to talk about. But so her life had changed. My life, my dad was a heroin addict and a pimp, and it was a pretty colorful situation. So when we came together in that point, we were like, how can we do this, but do it the right way? How we, in our minds, created this picture in our head of what we felt was going to be a perfect life. And it had to do with Malibu, actually. We actually even said it at that park on Pico Boulevard. Do you remember sitting down? Yeah. What you said? Because I mean, it doesn't.
No, we ended up finding an apartment and moving in together. Yeah. We were together every day. We never spent a day apart, and we would talk about like our dreams and our goals, and like we would laugh about it like it was like impossible that it would ever happen. We wanted kids. We wanted a lot of kids. We wanted to live in a big house and have nice things. And the ultimate dream was to live in Malibu, and this was so far fetched from where we both were at. I was like washing hair at a hair salon, sweeping floors, cleaning toilets.
I was still trying to collect money that people owe me for selling drugs.
He was hanging out with a bunch of hoodlums that I was trying to take him away from, and we were just like rolling with life. But we would laugh about it, like, like one day if we could have these things, that'd be great. But it's so far out and probably will never happen.
I mean, I tell you, you two, like I've said before, and I've told you this, Jason, I've told you this, Joy, as well. The last 9 months of my life spent in California with Joy has been the most transformative months of my life, because I've witnessed the most interesting human connection, people with your same name, all these things have come in the last 9 months. Now let's transition from you guys meeting, and I think you guys have 4 kids now.
We have 4 kids.
4 kids. And you guys actually did get to Malibu.
We did.
You guys got to Malibu, and how did that happen?
Oh my God, it was like a 21 years of a roller coaster ride. I mean, ups and downs, hustling, opening businesses.
What happened was at the time we finally got an apartment. It was right after the time tour we decided what we were going to do with our life. And I was like, okay, I have to ditch all these people, these friends I knew. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I remember I rolled out of bed one day and I go, I'm going to get in the film business. And she looked at
running on the treadmill. I was walking on the treadmill, like 7 months pregnant. And he goes, I'm going to start making films. And I started giggling, like again, like laughing.
Yeah. But it was funny because the idea in my head was what I knew about. So she goes, sure you are. and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I left, called a friend of mine I knew who was in the film business and had an idea. And I was like, what do I know about? I knew about street hustling and slinging and being on the street. So I started writing this idea for the original idea for A Man Apart, starring Vin Diesel. Little did I know at the time when I did that what was going to happen, you know, at all. And either did she. It was just, we were like 2 young kids and we had these dreams and we were like, we're going to do this. And we decided to do it in the way we best knew how. And that was just fucking put your head down and run straight ahead.
And we did. No, it was like, it was chaos at its best.
We fucking kicked doors in. We
did.
did.
We did. Total hustlers. We knew what we wanted. We knew the life we wanted, and we weren't stopping until we got it. It was it was like that every day.
Yeah, and we did, and it was team. It was to talk about, you know, teamwork, because we did it. We talked about it from such. We didn't sit there and say we're going to make this plan and do it at all. But it was kind of like that. Like we sat down at that park and we created this thing, and it was like we knew what we were doing, knew what our goals were, and if, you know, even we went with certain meetings, the way we reacted, with the way we talked it. Like she knew if I was tripping, and I knew if she was tripping, or how we just knew.
It sounds cheesy. Like you put something out into the universe, and it fucking came. It happens. It does.
What did you just say?
You put it out in the universe, and it happens. I know. It's.
She said it went loud.
She said it. She said it.
It's true though.
It is true.
If you actually believe and really, you know.
And that's really 100%. That's Yogi G. Believe it.
Here we go. Here we go. I believe that Eddie said this during the first pre-interview. He said that anything that Joey touches turns to gold. And I think you said that. You said a friend of yours said the same thing. The things that you get involved in.
It's the hustle and the spirit behind it. It's the passion that we both have and the drive from what we went through growing up. I think. It's a different animal behind what we believe in. We don't stop until it's done. And I don't know if most people have that in them, but we both experienced some unusual shit growing up. And so we have this driving force.
She was emancipated at 14 years old. So, I mean, it was just opposite, because she went from having a fairy tale life, princess. Her dad's a scary guy, but not in her eyes. He was a great dad.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was very confusing for her when they took him away. But then
I went from riches to rags, and you did the opposite.
And did the opposite, and we met in the middle. It's exactly so. We met in the middle.
For me, it was the best lesson of all time. Like you go from having everything in the world and it's taken away, you know, from having everything and it's taken away overnight. There's no greater lesson in life.
Yeah, for sure.
And then having to start all over again and rebuild a life for yourself.
And it's even similar to, like, you know, me, I played football. And so, you know, most of my life was built around sports, built around being a professional athlete or becoming one. And when that dream didn't happen, I had to pick up the pieces and make something else of my life. And this is what it kind of boiled up into. But it's like we all have to pick up the pieces at some point in our lives, with whatever we have.
She was cutting,
good or bad.
She started right then, picked up the pieces and started cutting hair when she was 14, or sweeping hair.
16
years old. And when we met, so she, for 16 years old, and when we met, I bought her that hair salon. She was 19 years old. So for those 4, so she worked all the way into that. That's where she got pregnant.
From cleaning the toilets to being the owner. Yeah.
She got pregnant there. Like, for real.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's nuts. Now, you know, it sounds all fairy tale out there, guys. Beautiful 21 years of marriage. But there was a point in time when Joey, of course, encountered his own spiritual awakening and began to in your eyes, lose his wits.
Yeah.
And so I just want to jump there and see and say, or ask, what did you witness as far as initially? What was the kind of the symptoms that you saw early on that kind of let you know that something deeper was happening than just, some shit?
So, okay, when was little Joey born? 2011. So 2010, Joey's dad passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I was 6 months pregnant when he passed. And I remember going home like any other day, and I found Joey downstairs in a bathtub with his dad's jacket on, fully clothed, immersed in water, all over his face, all over his body. And I looked at him, I was like, oh my God. And he was like humming and doing all these weird noises. And like, so I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like something is not right. So, and you stayed in that bathtub for like days. You would come out and eat and go right back in the bathtub. So I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then finally, when you did come out, you were acting weird. You were acting different.
I was.
For a while. And here I am pregnant with our fourth child. So for 6 months, you were off.
Yeah.
You were definitely not yourself.
What I did in the bathtub was, I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but now I do, is I'd go into the bathtub and I'd submerge to the water was over my ears so I could only hear my heart beating. And I would get into a meditative state and I would stay there for hours. And at the time and I would wear my dad's coat though I felt maybe I could feel him or something. But the reason for that, I was able to just feel this, and I would listen to that beat in my heart, and I would identify it with horses walking, and it would put me in this very calm state, and I'd be able to kind of just go off. And that's why I would be able to stay there for hours. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just felt very comfortable doing it.
But here's this guy that I've known for 15 years, hardcore, gnarly gangster, like rough, and he's like laying in a bathtub, thinking of horses trawling around. And I'm like, who is this guy?
I didn't say trawling around.
So
I was saying some night shit. Like, she is
so I'm like trying to keep the house normal, as I always did over the years, because he was a handful. Okay, always. But I was always like, like covering everything up. Like, come on, kids, time to go to school. We have a normal life. Like, get in the fucking Bentley. Let's go to school. No, but it was always like, I'd come home, we'd eat dinner. I'd make dinner every night. And you were tripping though for 6 months. So I was just trying to keep everything normal. And
it was like the first time it happened earlier, and she did. She held it together. The kids were younger, and I didn't know what was happening at the time. But it first started happening, and I started reading books. I didn't read a lot at all when I was younger.
Power of the Subconscious Mind was a book that changed you a little bit too.
Power of the Subconscious Mind. I read that like 9-10 times. That was the one that
100 times, 900 times.
I listened to it like over and over and over. Obviously, yeah. But then I moved us to Malibu. I woke up and I was like, we're moving to Malibu. If Native Americans can live in a tent, we can live in a mobile home trailer, expensive one, but a nice one. Yeah. Anyways, so against their will, because at first you guys said we are not doing it.
He shows us this trailer. I'm like 9 months pregnant. Right. The roof is caving in. There's rot coming through the floors.
My dad just died.
He goes, don't worry, honey. Like, we live in this beautiful house, okay?
Yeah.
And he goes, don't worry. I'm going to take this one off. We're going to put a new one on. It's going to be perfect. So he did. We ended up buying it. I had the baby, and we went down there. We put a new unit on. It was like a triple wide trailer right at the beach, and we loved it so much. The house was not done. There was no electricity, no water. We moved in. There was no floors in. We brought like a plug-in heater and a little stove. Moved our kids there with air mattresses in the dust, and we lived. We would not leave. We got rid of everything in our life, and we stayed at the beach. We never left.
Yeah. Like at first they were like, oh, it was like anarchy. I was done.
And he stopped working. It was
because I started to open up a little bit, and I didn't know it at the time, but I wanted to not work. I wanted to spend as much time with my family. I really started to change. I started going through this change and not knowing what it was. And at the very first, the kids were younger, and she was just trying to hold on and hopefully bounce back. I think. You know what I mean? Not knowing where it was going, but hopefully I started to come back and fade back into it. And then it kind of went away for a second.
We were drinking heavily. When we lived there, it was like we were on vacation full time. So we were partying. Drinking. We were on the beach. Life was good. We had no bills. Like, it was easy living, no stress.
I retired. I was done.
He was retired for 2 years. You'd run on the beach at 4 a.m. You were actually off your rocker when we were there for a little bit.
Yeah, it was
You were
different.
like running down the beach naked and shit. You were
Who's that? There's that fucking guy again.
yeah. No, they
getting
fucking,
it.
yeah. People there definitely tripped out on us for sure.
I almost drowned one day and there was no waves. They're like, what's he doing? I think that guy's hit his head. You remember that?
Well, that explains it all then.
But here's my question though, as far as like, we laugh and we joke, but when you guys did size down or downsize, excuse me, into the trailer, you know, why did you guys feel so connected? Why did you guys feel so warm there, so home there? Like, what was the reason? You know, because you got from this big old house.
We had a very tight family. We were close. Like I think
Inseparably close, like a wolf pack.
like not normal.
Like, no joke.
Everywhere we went, our kids went. We never traveled without them. It was like if we were there, they were there with us. There was no babysitters. There was no nanny. None of that shit. They were always with us. When we went there, we were all in one room together. It was like, and then he was surfing with the boys. I mean, it was like, I don't know. It was just a simpler life instead of trying to like hustle and like keep up like we always were for all those years and try to make money and fancy cars, fancy houses. It was like,
I finally
we could breathe and like just chill for a minute.
I disengaged from the rat race a little bit, and I felt that it was, and I don't know, it was like as my dad passed, I remember one of the things my dad said, the last thing he said to me, and I'm not even kidding you, he was real pissed off, and he said, "Money is your god."
Yeah.
And I didn't really say that. I said, fuck you. I was so angry. You never took care of me anyways. So I was more bitter about something else that didn't even connect. Nothing of it happened. But after he died, it was like a loop in my head over and over. And I was like, what is that? Why does that keep going? It's consistently going off. And so then I wanted to start kind of detaching from material things. And I started doing it in a way. And I think one of the ways was to move to Malibu and be in a simple way, but not be, you know, something that was shocking to the system. And it was a beautiful place, and it was great. We loved it, you know, and it was. We were enjoying ourselves, drinking wine, listening to Dave Matthews walking down the beach.
Life was chill.
Life is good.
It was good. But then what happened after that? I'm trying to think.
Basi-
The market. This is 2 years went by, and it was like the trailers in there were starting to sell at top dollar, and it was like an opportunity for us to like grow a little bit more.
So the trailer is just
Well, what happened was I started purchasing a couple of pieces of property in Malibu to develop.
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So the prices went up.
Yeah.
We sold our trailer at top dollar.
Now you guys are in Malibu. You guys are having a wonderful life, living in the trailer. The trailer sells top dollar, and you guys transition. What was the transition like, and what?
I got the money bug again.
Yeah.
I started to itch, and I knew, you know, I have that a little bit of an instinct or I did at the time, and I knew that to purchase property at a certain time, and I did in a couple places in Malibu, and one in Beverly Hills. I started building high-end spec homes. I just kind of walked away. I even gave away a lot of money. The company that I started and ran, I gave to the guy that was managing it, and everybody was like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, I wasn't really sure at the time. I just knew that I was buying these houses in Malibu, and I was going to build them. So I was going to build, you know, Jacy's and my dream house, you know, we're in Malibu, in Point Dume. And that's what I did. I bought those properties, and I started designing and developing them with her help. We started putting this together because we'd
back to hustle mode. We were back
We
in
went back to
full-blown hustle mode.
Yeah.
But let's get to, okay, so we had this one property we were building, the one I'm currently living in, and then the one Joey's living in now, we all moved into that one.
Yeah, it was an old ranch house, like rickety.
Full ocean views, though.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful house, but I'm saying from where I took them from to put in here because it didn't have heat, didn't have air conditioning.
It was kind of gnarly.
It's a nice house, but I'm just saying from the amenities it didn't have. It needs a facelift.
So while we're there, we're already not. It's our most unhappy place I think we ever lived, just because the condition of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And during this time, his best friend died. It was January 2016. Yeah. And we'd go to the gym together every day. We always worked out together. We lived a healthy life together. My dad had died a year before, I think, in that house.
It wasn't even a year.
A few,
it was
I
like
forget.
6 months.
So in that house, like a lot of weird shit happened. And when my dad died, I checked out for like a long time. I went dark. It was like.
It was within 6-7 months. Jeff passed away,
and then his
her
best
father
friend
passed
died.
away.
And so
I went right, she went left, and
it was a bad time.
Emotionally, you know, and so we were very like just disconnected from really not saying anything, but when that happens, you're out in space in your head.
So he was going to the gym without, I stopped working out. I was literally just like, I was lost. And he would go to the gym in the morning. I'm just going to go there. And then he would not come home for dinner. And I was like, where the fuck is he? Like, I'm making dinner. Where's he? And then this kept happening. And then he would come home and his eyelashes were fucking tinted. His hair was done all special. He was wearing all these fancy clothes. So I'm like, okay, something's not right. So he'd go to bed at night and I would spy on his phone, which I never did. I trusted Joey with my life. Okay. So, but I knew him so well. I was like, something's not right. I'm not a fucking idiot here. And so I would look on his phone and I see this girl texting him and leaving voicemails that he tried to delete, but I would find them in his phone. And so I put his tracker on his phone and I'm like, I want to see where he's at every night. And sure enough, he was going to bars and meeting this fucking girl that he met at the gym. He was having a full-on affair.
2 days after my best friend Jeff passed away, this woman came up and sat. She came up, stood next to me on the Stairmaster, and started talking to me.
And he told me about her. He came home that night. That's how weird we were. He's like, Jacy, this girl came. I'm gonna stay away from her. She sounds like trouble. That's the first thing I said.
She knew, but she had looked at my Facebook, but she knew Jeff had died, and so she came up and she'd asked me, and I didn't say anything. So she knew what she was doing. And anyways, long story short, it takes two to tango, and we proceeded, and we had an affair. Yes, we did. But
they denied it for a long time.
Well, it wasn't even said. We stopped it. And so, okay, imagine this. It stops. I think I get away with this and everything's okay because I'm like, what have I done? I'm telling you, I remember sitting on the fireplace and Chaz came in. I had tears coming down my face because I was like, how have I got myself into this situation?
Yeah. You would come home and look at me and start crying. I'm like, this fucker's so guilty. He's so fucking guilty. I mean, he's like bleeding out his skin like he's fucking guilty. Okay, no, bad. I even found a note. We finally finished the other house in Malibu, the one I'm in. Mm-hmm. And I was doing his laundry and there was a note in his jean pocket from the girl, from him or son, saying how good he was in bed or something crazy, and they still denied it. So this is where.
Well, no. So what happened was
shit starts getting crazy after this.
So that goes away. What happens is, no, she doesn't know. It kind of starts.
I still can't believe it. I'm still so naive. There's no way he would do that to me.
It's dissipated. It's nothing. It's gone away.
My kids are telling me, they're like, Mom, he's.
So I'm just thinking I want to try to mend the situation, whatever I can do.
For sure.
Okay. I started thinking of the mistake I made. Started thinking, what am I doing? This was obviously a fucking mistake. So in the middle of all this stuff happening, I'm sitting there like any other day, and she's still trying to like figure this out. We have 4 kids. What are we doing? And we ended up, I don't know how, but we ended up going to a Boy George concert. I think I knew it was very sentimental to her because her dad was a big Boy George fan. And so I said, let's go see this Boy George concert. It was just a weird kind of thing that we did. And we went, and it was me, Jacy, and my buddy Jeff's sister, Laura. And we were just hanging in there by a thread at this time. I think that, she was done, but I don't know if, she was done, but she was there physically. But you know what I mean? But I was trying as hard as I could to try to fix something that was unfixable.
I always had 2 rules, because 1, if you ever lay a hand on me, I will leave you that day. And 2, if you ever cheat on me, I was done. So I couldn't prove it. I didn't know at this point.
She didn't know. So now let's back. So she couldn't prove it. She had a feeling, and I was just trying to like blur any confusion with as much love as I could. And how can I make this? How can I fix this quick? Whatever I can do. We go to this Boy George concert out of nowhere. I'm walking to the bathroom. Okay, life as I know it is completely normal.
I'm laughing because I picture you jumping through the hallways.
Yeah.
Seeing Jeff.
Yeah, everything's cool. You wake up, sun rises, like I tell you, it sets, everything's normal. Get some money, do this, everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm walking to the bathroom by myself. I hear Boy George singing, and I'm groovy, baby. I'm feeling it. Next thing you know, I can hear Jeff's voice whispering, singing to Boy George in my ear. It was in my right ear, because I remember I look up and I went to slap him 5. Like I put my hand up just like that. And right when I did that and I saw my hand, I'm like, I almost like, what? Wait. I started to go, wait. Wait. I just heard his voice. It felt so real to me. Then I started getting nervous and I started looking around. I'm like, wait a minute. I
You
go,
started panicking. You came back to the seats.
yeah.
You're like, I just gave Jeff a high five in the hallway. And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? I just want to watch the concert. And he's like, no.
no, he's here.
He's here with me. I just gave him a high five. I'm like, Joey, Jeff passed away like how long ago? And this is where everything started to change
It
for
changed.
Joey.
No.
This was it.
It like, whew, it changed. I mean, from that point, because I felt it and I knew it was so real to me. So I was like looking at them, and I'm trying to explain to her, and she's like, "Yeah, he's here with us. There, he's always here with us." I'm like, "No, like this motherfucker's here. He's here." And I'm trying to look at them, and I'm like, I'm fascinated. I'm freak. I'm everything you can imagine, but I'm trying to. Am I crazy? What was it? So I go to sleep. That night, and I woke up again in the middle of the night, and then it was a full-blown conversation.
You were in the shower.
Yeah.
You went into our shower, and I found you running in circles in the shower. You were chasing yourself. You were like, you were screaming, you were crying, you were panicking to death. And I was like, whoa. Like, I didn't know. I closed the door, and I just walked away.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I thought, you were eating edibles. You were eating a mass amount of edibles at this time. And I thought you were having a bad trip.
Yeah, it wasn't the edibles. I wish it was, but it wasn't the edibles. But what happened is I started getting up at 3 a.m, and I'd never done that before. And so sometimes she would find me running around, or you'd find me in a corner, like in the corner of the shower. It was a huge shower I built. It looked like a sarcophagus. It was about 10 by 10 foot. We built it. We did that.
Give me a little credit here.
We built it. She knows it. We built it. So she'd see me go in here and start acting, and when I think about it, it was strange. I didn't know what I was doing. I guess I was shedding karmic, other lives, all kinds. I mean, now I understand what was happening, but at the time I didn't. But I felt this pull to have to go in every night. So every night I'd wake up at 3 a.m, and I'd go in there. But I started having full-fledged conversations with my dead friend Jeff. And
We're talking like 6 hours in the shower with the water running on his body, like laying on the floor in the shower. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
And I didn't know the thing with the water, but I just felt comfortable there.
Sometimes you were in all through the night, not even at 3 a.m. He would come home from work, get in the shower, lay in there till the morning, and you had no sleep for days. This went on. It did. There was moments where I was like worried about you because.
I'm sure she was. I mean, what I was doing is meditating. I wasn't doing anything besides going into a meditative state. But at the time, because I'd never meditated before, she didn't look like I was.
Well, Joey's an all or nothing guy, so you tell him to meditate. He was fucking meditating to fucking Mars. He was meditating, all right. He fucking took it there.
I was trying to cross over. No, but it's funny she said that because it's true. I was like, could somebody let me see under the veil for a minute? And that's where I started to look at things. That's why money and those things started to be less important to me, because I saw something much, I might say bigger, but much more universal, much more, I can't,
Okay, so could we get a couple days go by from this? That's where it all started.
Yeah.
Now we're at like Thanksgiving. I think it's 2016. And he comes home from work. It was a Friday. Thanksgiving was that following Thursday. He comes home.
Well, first, no. What happened was, I just left. Something in my head goes, go to the store and get water. And I was like, okay. So I go, I'll be back in a minute. So I go to Pavilions, and I felt like I was just going to get water. In my head, I told myself, I'm going to go get water.
You want to know what water means to his state of mind? He comes home with this much water. He came home with 400 boxes of tinfoil. 14 turkeys. He came home with diapers, markers, baby wipes. We don't have a baby, by the way. He was 6 years old, out of diapers for many years. He came home with water. It was like 55 cases of water. He came home with $3,000 worth of groceries. He had people. They have clips of it at Pavilions. He had them going in the back stockroom for more tinfoil because we didn't have enough. And we already had, I'm not exaggerating, it was like 400 boxes of tinfoil.
Was the day before Thanksgiving or after?
No, it was the Friday before.
So I took all the foil, so there was no tinfoil for Thanksgiving
no one in Malibu had tinfoil or fucking turkeys that year for Thanksgiving. There were so many turkeys, I was giving them to the gardeners, giving them to everyone I knew. I'm like, I got
turkey.
We didn't have room in our fridge for it.
We were fucking pilgrims.
He was fucking bringing shit home like the world was ending that night. Okay, so here we are. So he comes home with all this shit, and I'm like, what is going on right now? Then we go into little Joey's room, and you start acting weird. He like would fall to his knees and he would start looking up. shaking. So I called his sister right away. I'm like, Dawn, you got to get over here. Something's not right. And call your parents. They got to get over here too. I'm scared for my life. The kids, we're not safe. Because you walked in with all that shit. You're like, lock all the doors. Everyone put your cars in the driveway. No one's leaving tonight.
Yep.
So that's
I was
worried.
Now, what did you think was happening, Joey? Like in your mind, if you can crawl backwards, what did you think was going to happen?
At the time when all these things started happening, it's hard to explain, but I felt like I was able to start seeing visions of, not sure if it was forward, back, side, or where it was coming from, but all of a sudden the way my thoughts started coming through started changing, and I saw these images of something kind of like an event that had happened, and it seemed so crystal clear to me, and I didn't know what to do, and so I felt that I was compelled, that I was like, I have to save my family, and so I said, well, if they do something, I was going to go get all. The first thing, let me back up. When I went to go get the water and the rice, I didn't plan to do that.
Yeah.
I just thought I was going to get like it was a normal day. And so I called my friend Jeff's sister. I go, you got to come to the store now. Cause they were about to call the police on me too. They were tripping. I wasn't panicked, but I was definitely confused at what the fuck I was doing.
You were getting like glue sticks, batteries. I mean, you name it.
Anything you can do for like, if there was going to be some kind of,
To this day,
something.
what the hell was the tinfoil for? I mean, I was giving it out as party favors up until like 2 months ago.
We said we were going to
It's
make
weird
Merry
buying
Christmas.
it. To this day, I feel weird buying it because I had so much of it. So it's like weird.
No, I have no idea. I bought rice because I figured, if electricity went out or, because I was telling her too that I saw riots. Didn't I see? I was saying, what else was I saying?
You were becoming your dad. You were becoming my dad. You were falling on the floor, collapsing. So I'm thinking he's on fucking major drugs right now.
I wasn't.
So what the hell is he on? So I didn't know what to do. I got the kids out of the house. Like I didn't want them seeing him like this. No, they went to their rooms. We weren't allowed to leave. We were on shutdown in this house.
What I
Stuck
did
with
was
him.
so I was determined. I saw, and when I saw that Donald Trump, I saw him on the TV screen, and I was like, it freaked me out. And I don't care about that type of shit.
It freaks me out to see Donald Trump.
It doesn't bother me. He's got great hair or whatever. But I'm just saying, I just don't to pay attention to that type of shit. You know what I mean? It's not in my wheelhouse. But for whatever reason that day it did, and I was freaked. So I said, you guys have to come to the house. You have to call the whole house. If they don't come, they have to come. And I was determined I had to get everyone there. And I said, please, anything. She says, if they do come, you have to promise tomorrow that you'll check yourself in.
No. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. We were stuck in the fucking house with you for 8 days because I didn't want to call 911 because it was Thanksgiving.
Was it 8 days?
8 fucking days with you like a maniac. You were running through the house naked with Japanese swords. Okay, let's get real here.
I have a thing
Let
with
me
swords.
just refresh your memory.
I got a thing with
Okay,
swords.
you were jumping on the kids' beds while they were sleeping on all fours, like licking their ears like a dog. Like no, I'm kidding. You were like whispering in their ears. Like we were all like, what do we do with this maniac? Okay, we were afraid. We all were sleeping with one eye open. Put it that way. Your mom and Dave were in my room in an air mattress because I was scared for my life. We were all petrified. So we went through 8 days of this because it was Thanksgiving. Our dinners were like family food,
What I saw.
So
what
hold
I
on.
saw.
Wait,
go ahead,
hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
We get through Thanksgiving dinner. My handicapped brother shows up to surprise me that day. I haven't seen him in like 2 years. He shows up, so he's there for Thanksgiving. He doesn't know that my husband is a maniac right now.
I thought I could make him walk.
So he's handicapped. He starts rubbing his legs. My poor brother can barely walk. This
in a wheelchair.
freak
I'm
is
like-
trying to heal his legs, okay? So anyway, it was like dinner was...
Walk! You
No,
can
it was
do-
like...
I did. I swear he was screaming because he was in pain, and I was screaming at them. Don't tell me he will walk now.
It was like dinner with schmucks that Thanksgiving with
rise.
Joey.
You will rise.
It was like dinner with schmucks, I swear, like penguins in the house, the whole deal.
I'm in your mind now.
Get up.
So we get through Thanksgiving dinner, okay? And we're all like on pins and needles because we don't know what to do with him. His behavior is bizarre, okay?
It was.
It's escalating each day. Every night we're all exhausted. No one slept. So everyone sits me down. They're like, "You have to be the one. You have to call 911. We're gonna take the kids out of the house. He's not safe for himself." So your mom took the kids to go get breakfast. I called 911. Half the fucking fire department shows up, police department, ambulances. They show up. He starts acting normal for 2 hours. He's walking them around our house, showing them how he built the house. He's showing them what material he used. And I'm watching this going, this clever motherfucker. He snapped out of it. And he snaps out of this because he's so clever. And he was able to talk to them for 2 hours and like manipulate them into thinking everything's fine. Everything's fine here. So they sit him down, they take his pulse, and it was like through the roof. And they're like, Joey, you're like about to have a stroke. We need to take you in and evaluate you. Your heart's pounding really fast. Let us just check you out. It took about 2 more hours of talking you into getting in that ambulance and going to get checked out.
And the only way I'd get in the ambulance is if I put that crystal in my ass.
He did. He put a crystal in his ass.
wait.
Wait, hold on. He got that fucking crystal in his ass. They strapped him down in the ambulance. I had to sit in the ambulance. I had to sit in there with you, and you're cussing me out the whole time. You were so mad. He thinks I like put him in this ambulance. We finally get to the hospital. That was the worst ride of my life because you were like strapped down and you're like forced. You were trying to attack me. And we get to the hospital. They evaluate him for a couple hours. A team of experts came in, and after talking, whatever the hell they were, after talking with him, they only found marijuana in his blood, nothing else, which I was shocked, and because his behavior was so bizarre, and I didn't know what the hell it could be. And they said he has signs of schizophrenia, paranoia, blah blah blah, you name it, depression, everything. They're like, he's not safe to society. We're going to hold him on a 72-hour 5150. And so he was pissed. He was pissed. He's like, you fucking bitch. How could you put me in a psych ward? I was blamed for this for like a year later. I put you in this psych ward. Okay, well, no one can I couldn't put Jacy in a psych ward right now if I wanted him to. Your behavior put you there. Simply. Okay, so anyway, that weekend goes by. We visit my oldest son and we went and saw you every day. You were angry, like lifting the table up, trying to throw it at us. I mean,
it was a fuck place to be. It was a horrible mental institution.
UCLA, so Kanye West took over the whole UCLA bottom floor that week. We couldn't get him into the nice.
No, but that was
place.
Not the first time. That was like the second or third time. Remember, I went back.
They took him to like the worst place available. It was the only place open that night. It was bad.
It was bad.
And just to chime in, I mean, I think, when Jacy's talking about what she saw, a lot of the symptoms that I have researched on Kundalini awakenings and just spiritual awakenings in general also share the same symptoms. And so I think that's what we mean when we mean the fine line between mental health and spirituality. Where do we draw it? And I think what happens often is that Western medicine is so quick to label and categorize people because it's for profit. And it's easier to manage humans that way. It's just to say, hey, you got this, let's wash it clean, put you over there on the side. What we are trying to do is open up the conversation to understand what else is out there to really help people who may be having an awakening and don't know it. And maybe also bringing things into their life that they're just trying to understand because they don't know what the fuck they're going through. And I think that's why these conversations are so timely and also just are so meaningful because in Venice Beach, there's a high concentration of homelessness and a high concentration of, as I say, interesting activity. And a lot of the people that I meet on the street, because I did a project a year or so ago called the Gratitude Project, where I got on the bus and spent 10 days just traveling through Windward Ave, through Venice, and just picking up homeless people, asking them questions, filming them, getting them water, getting them clothes, socks, anything. And it showed me that these aren't crazy people. These aren't people that are mentally ill. They're misunderstood. And I found such compassion for their stories because they were so real. I was like, oh, these guys are just having a normal experience of life, but somewhere along the line, something happened, and no one was supporting them. No one had their back.
Like I get that all, but how do you differentiate, whatever how you say it, between what drugs does to your mind and like an underlying cause that could have been there from birth?
Yeah.
Like I'm no medical doctor, but I've read enough about it to know that if you have mass amounts of Adderall and edibles in your body, it could tweak your brain. I mean, it's fucking very clear. Like, how do you, I'm sure there is such thing as a Kundalini awakening. I'm sure it's a beautiful thing. But when you mix drugs and you have things altering your regular state of mind, how do you know what's real and what's not?
Well, I mean, let's face it.
I haven't done a drug in my life.
I mean, let's face it, though.
I don't,
I think certain foods, I think certain chemicals that are in the food, I think certain chemicals that are even in our water. I think there are other ways in which they are, I would say, inducing us into the psychosis, into the mainstream of just craziness. But I do believe that there is also this other side of things where there's just a misunderstanding happening. And because we're so quick in society to just kind of push people into where we want them to believe, like, hey, just go over there, buddy. We'll get to that. they feel left out. They feel unsupported. They feel like they don't have, anyone under them to help them understand what they're going through, because that happens a lot in this country.
That's why it is a cool thing that people that are lost or don't have a connection to anything, they have this as support. I think that's really cool.
It's not, this is what I don't want you to be misunderstood. It's not the people that are lost. It's for people that, look, do I seem like a better person to you now than I did?
For sure you are. For sure. Okay, so this is what I think, because you're such a clever dude. You always have been.
Okay.
You took this situation where you were fucking off your rocker. You took some shit and you tweaked, okay? You did. And you took it and turned it into a good situation for yourself. You found the Kundalini yoga. You found, what's the lady's name?
Tage.
You found these people. You surrounded yourself by things that were positive for you at the time, and you were clever. Like,
yes.
it could have, anyone else would have fucking gone south. But
you
took this and made it something, which is
they would have
cool.
went crazy. They would actually went crazy.
You were crazy and went crazy, and then you fucking.
It saved my life.
It in a weird, ironic way. You took it and did something with it. But look, do I believe you're channeling dead people or fucking have these gifts or power? No, I don't. Sorry. I believe you fucking tweaked out on drugs. I'm just being honest and real, and I believe that you found something from that, and now it's become a beautiful thing, and you have a healthier life because of it. You know, that's all. I don't think like you're a fucking special gift. You're one of 4 people walking this earth with your powers. I'm sorry.
I didn't.
I mean, you were special to me for some time, but you're not that special. No,
and I respect that.
I'm kidding. And I can't. I'm sorry.
But
unless you give me a message from my dad or my grandma right now.
I'm not asking. Look, you'll know. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Okay, so I'm not trying to say that. Well, I guess I am trying to say it. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. This is a space between, and this is exactly how I got here, is by that communication and how real it is. So
what communication are you talking about?
I speak to ascended masters. I fully communicate with another realm. That's how I got here, and this is what happened to me. When I was freaking out, running in circles, what happened is it looked like hallucinations. I was able to see past lives, and I wasn't able to differentiate at that point. As soon as that happened, I started to not know what was real and what wasn't real, because it seemed so real to me. And so I started running around thinking with swords that I was a Japanese warrior. I started feeling that I was a part of one of the first emperor of China. Started feeling like King Arthur. I mean, some wild shit.
It was you can't explain this shit. It was
no.
But also you mentioned to me earlier before we started taping that what's your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time is Many Lives, Many Masters.
Now you told me
by Dr. Brian Weiss.
Dr. Brian Weiss, beautiful Jewish man. Now what did Dr. Brian? Now what happened? Because you explained something.
I used to be a spiritual person before all this happened.
No, but tell me about the book. Tell me why that's your favorite book.
I love this book because it was, first of all, it was written by a Harvard graduate, and he was a doctor that was very well respected, and he was hypnotizing patients to heal them from their fears in life.
Of what, their past lives?
No, like one lady had a fear of flying or fear of like swimming or what. So
But it was called Many Lives, Many Masters.
Right.
So it had to do
let me
with
get
lives.
to it. So this one lady comes in and he's trying to heal her. He hypnotizes her because she has fears or whatever. And during the 8th session he had with her, she starts telling him about his son that passed away, that no one knew about or would know about, and starts talking about his heart condition, I think it was. And so he, like, whoa, he jumps back and he starts tape recording the session. And so now she's telling him about his son. So he changed his whole career and became a hypnotist for the rest of his life, healing people and guiding them through their past lives.
And by talking to people in other realms.
Yeah, so this book to me was
why?
fascinating.
Hold on. Yeah. Let's back it over the body.
Okay, we're talking a Harvard graduate, not on drugs.
Right, correct.
We don't know.
we
don't know what he's on, okay?
Mr. Weiss.
Dr. Weiss.
Let's get real.
So I was fascinated by these people would go through many past lives through this book. And it all sounded crazy until she actually was talking with his son and gave him real information.
Do you believe it?
So I believe that because the information was real. You have
how
not
do you
given
know the
me any
information
real
was real?
information. If
How do
you
you
did,
know
I'd
it's
be
real?
like, fuck yeah, shake my hand. You are dope. But I haven't gotten any information from you.
Okay.
Nothing that makes any sense. believe me, I want you to have this gift. There's nothing more.
But we're not here. What we're trying to do, though, I'm not trying to convince you or anyone else about a gift. All we're trying to do is talk about the symptoms and how they correlate and how we can help people. But ultimately, it's real. It's happening. I
hope it is. I have no. Sure.
Now, the first thing you said, and this is the exact thing that I said, is why is this happening to me? Because I knew me as a hoodlum, somebody who did some pretty heinous shit, but I had a good heart. So the last thing I thought was that this would be happening to somebody like me. And when Ascended Master started speaking to me, yes, it definitely threw me off a little bit. And yes, they do speak to me. And that's how come I speak to them. And I have a teacher that is one of his first students, because I didn't know what to do with this information. So when I went to them, I said, look, this is what's happening. This is what's being said. And as I was able to transfer information that wouldn't have been able to be known but to them. Yeah. So what I think is, it's not one of those things like a gift to where it's like for my convenience, to where you could say this and say that. I mean, I think I could if I sat and I meditated on it, but I'm not somebody that's trying to do that. What I feel that gift is here is to be able to create a platform to talk about these things and help other people in my position. And I'm serious, because I could make money. I had a gift of making money.
You did.
Okay. So I walked away from that, and I did it for what I believe in this. And I feel like I can do that again, and ultimately use that same drive that I had, that life energy force but I was doing it for the,
Do you think, can I be straight up right now?
Please do, yeah.
During the last 2 years, okay? Because everyone that knows you knows that you're not the same person now, okay? Right. Do you think that you've come across people that have taken advantage of you over the past 2 years?
No, and yes.
I love that you started now.
No and yes.
Yeah.
No and yes is a necessary evil. It's like when you do a deal with somebody. A lot of times when you do deals with certain people, you get to other people by that person. It's like a bridge, or it's a connector. So sometimes without that connector, you couldn't even got to the next part.
No, true.
And so
I've seen so much weird stuff happen to you during this transformation that it's blocked me off from everything I believe in.
And that's what I don't want to do. And I want to be able to talk about this in a linear way to where it makes sense to you, because the thing I was trying to do is prove to you that I wasn't crazy, which made me look more crazy.
Like if I even see someone with a yoga mat, I'm done.
But that's look.
I'm done.
But that's up to you to be done. But that's you closing off and being not
it's
open
me.
to it.
It's nothing to do with that. I did yoga during all my pregnancies, all that. It's you were paying these people and they were telling you have a gift.
No,
okay,
but I wasn't paying. Paying who?
I mean, I'm not going to go there right now. I don't want to put anyone on the but
paid,
there was a period of time when you were really kind of gone, and you were going to these masters or these gurus, and you were paying them money, and they were telling you that you are gifted. You're one of the few people in the world. They're telling you a bunch of shit. So I lost all my faith in the yoga world at that point. Mostly.
But hold on.
Because I thought
I'll talk when you're done. Are you done?
Here we go.
Maybe.
For one, they don't tell you you have a gift. And for two, you have to pay to go to a fucking class.
Oh, that's good. I'm fine with the class.
But I never gave any money. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me, because I was feeding homeless people.
That's fine. You can feed anyone you want.
But that's all I gave money to, is the homeless people. I didn't go, if I bought a gift.
You were taking all of our life savings and trying to feed all of Venice. It was like we were paying our bills. I stopped getting paychecks, and you were feeding everyone in Venice, which is beautiful. We had to feed our kids first.
I spend a minimum,
and pay our mortgage.
Honestly, I spend a minimum of $5,000 a month at Nobu. I spent the same amount on feeding some people in Venice, and it looked a little odd because it was something I wouldn't normally do, and I was doing a lot of other crazy shit at the time. So she was trying to hold it together. So and as I knew it, I was just trying to help. All of a sudden, I wanted to be of service, which was so weird to me, because if you told me to be of service before, I would have been like, "Go fuck yourself." But all of a sudden, when that happened, I wanted to help and feed and be a part of something else.
And that's that oneness that a lot of awakenings kind of
which
spark,
doesn't and which has nothing to do with people talking at all. Who cares? I'm not asking you to believe in anything. All I'm saying to you is that I got to the other side of this, meaning it was scary, and a lot of times other people they say they hear voices. That's why they call it schizophrenia. But it's not a thing of voices. It's a feeling.
I mean, I think the worst voice.
Go ahead. I want to hear. Go ahead.
The worst voice that we actually hear most of the time is our own.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think your dad had any type of I'm losing my.
There he is. That's my dad.
Say it. Say it.
Joe, come through.
Come on.
The table's shaking right now.
Okay. Do you think your dad had an underlying cause? Do you think he was slightly schizophrenic?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I don't think so.
And
But
I
I
loved
do.
your dad, so this is like
No,
nothing.
but
Like,
he was off. He was off. But he was a heroin addict for his whole life. I don't even know him to be any different.
but do you think before he even got into heroin, do you think he had an underlying cause?
No.
When you talk to his brothers and sisters, they always say there was always something about him that was a little different.
He was different, but he wasn't
So
schizophrenic.
before all this happened,
no.
you and I talked one time, and you said your worst fear.
was to be like my dad. I think
was-
that's every son says that.
That's
Almost.
that's my.
Especially
that's my
if
worst
you're
fear.
from the hood. But I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, I want to
dude
be
right
like
there.
my heroin doing dad. Come on, daddy.
Yo.
We had a deep conversation one time, and you were
No.
like, JC, I'm scared. I don't want to.
Who would not be? I didn't want to be like that. You knew that. We're not digging too deep for that one. That's the low hanging fruit, you know. But it's funny that you say that because I do communicate with my dad now, and I have a different relationship with him and understand him differently now. And you ultimately were the one that was with him so much for 10 years. You were with him everywhere, every day.
God, I was married to him.
Yeah.
He was.
And
We were
so
close.
the last thing to think is that your best friend will come speak to you, and
But you were paying Jeff's mom to channel Jeff. I mean, you were
Hold on
paying
a minute.
anyone at this time. I'm just
Okay.
telling you, like it was.
okay. So could I just real clear? I don't know how to say this, but on everything I believe right now to you, I never paid Jeff's mom a dime, ever. So this is the things that would
Joey,
happen.
I had to pay her.
What did you?
She
What did
was
you pay her?
requesting money to talk to you over the phone and give you a reading. I'll show you the receipts.
Okay.
You were paying these people.
Okay. Anyways,
And
people.
I was
Okay.
like-
So and I paid.
I'm
Did
just
you?
telling
Did
you.
you? Did I pay you to come here? Yeah, I paid you too. Everyone.
500.
So the thing is that I'm paying everybody to tell me these things. As long as I keep paying them, right? I don't know where I'm getting the money from. Where am I getting all the money from?
Through the divorce,
That
you
for
got a
all of them.
settlement, and you're using all that money now to start your life again. So wherever,
So this is where it's taking me to.
By the way, does
convince
everyone know
people-
we're divorced at this point?
I think everybody knows.
I don't think we
we're
got to that
divorced.
point yet.
I think everybody
So-
should know.
Look, if
No, we
you
didn't
look,
even get to that point. I swear.
no, they know.
But they know.
They know.
They-
They know. But the thing is ultimately what you're crusading towards is trying me. I've paid people to tell me that they believe what I'm doing, and it's like disrespectful to Jacy because you go ask
Jacy's
him.
cool. He's not
But
trying.
he's
I'm
cool. But he'll
cool.
tell you. But if
I'm
you
cool,
ask him
guys.
the same thing right now, do you think that? Ask him that question. Ask him that.
Ask him what.
Ask him if he feels if I communicate with other people. Ask him.
I believe.
I already
it.
know that answer. I don't even have to ask him. Everyone around you believes it, or they wouldn't be around you.
So,
So
you
I don't
think?
need
But
you
am I
to ask
paying
him.
them?
That's up to you now. At
Believing-
this point,
hold on a
I've
minute,
come to
hold
the
on,
point where
hold
I
on,
accept
hold
you
on.
for.
Believing it and paying somebody, someone being paid for it is like it's manipulating, it's bullshitting them, tell him what he wants to hear. But if they believe it, that's different.
Yeah.
That's all. So they believe
Look,
it.
I'm at the point now because it's been 2 years. Like to each his own. If you're healthy and happy, I'm happy for you.
And I'm not hurting anybody.
You're not hurting anyone. You're not punching walls anymore.
And that was the most
You're- you
important part. Yeah.
And
But
that- and-
you know, ultimately, look, I don't think I didn't want to come here. At first, I did because we went through so much between now and that point. I almost got stabbed out front of this place by supposedly my best friend because they wanted to come. I said I'm meditating, so when he came here, I was like, almost got stabbed at a meditation.
I'll
A
tell you
full
why.
moon.
We came to meditation, and you had a 19-year-old heroin addict with you that you
Right.
took from the rehab that we tried to put you in. And this 19-year-old was taking you to the bank. You bought him laptops, clothing, and then you found heroin needles in the trash can where you were staying with him. Okay, I'm not just being this way because I haven't seen anything. I saw some shit that was real, and we were trying to protect you. And your best friend,
To stab me?
I mean, I don't even know what happened with
okay,
that. I
so
was in the
hold on.
car.
So let me
but
start.
I don't want to even dwell on that.
No,
right
no,
now,
but let's
I'm
let's
just saying.
let's look.
There was
at
a lot of people around you that we didn't think were healthy to be around you in the beginning. In the beginning.
So what happened is that this kid was at a rehab that I was at. And when I went there, what they did was to get an extra $15,000, they gave him alcohol so that he would pee positive so that they could get more money for detox. So I found that they did this to about 3 or 4 other people at the rehab that they had me stuck at. And I was really angry at the time. And I probably needed to be somewhere and I needed help, but it wasn't that place. So the kid that was there, I started talking to him. He's a really intelligent kid, and it reminded me a little bit of me. And I'd been around so many kids on heroin and people on heroin that I didn't really freak on that. I was just more or less had someone to talk to, and he wasn't high when we left, and so we took off. But I wasn't giving him money. She acts like someone. Look at me right now. Does it seem like someone's taking fucking advantage of me? Does it seem like Samuel J. took advantage? Does it seem like anyone takes advantage? No. At a certain point, I'll say no, but that's the same thing she said to Eddie. Don't go near him. He's sick. Don't take advantage. But at a certain point, hold on, please, let me just finish. Really, it's important. At a certain point, I just wanted someone to listen to me. Not that I had to pay them. I had everybody telling me I was schizophrenic and I was sick. And I'm like, no, I don't feel sick. So I was just trying to, once I'd have normal conversation, people were talking to me normal. I always take people out to lunch. I've never let you probably pay for lunch, and she knows it. That's true.
We're both like that. That's not
okay,
a problem.
But I wasn't paying. So when you're trying to create a story that's not real, it's like me saying, well, let's go to court because you're going to lose because it's not true.
Joey,
it's
every
not
single
true.
person that saw you and knew you were like, what's up with Joey? What has happened to Joey?
I'm not debating that.
To this day, I still
debating
hear
that.
it. What happened to Joey? Like,
I'm not debating
is
that.
he okay? You know, like.
I'm not debating that. But so you're saying still? They're saying, oh, is he okay still? Really?
I hear it daily.
Okay.
I do. And I'm like, no, he's cool. We're good friends now. Like, everything's fine.
So
You're better now than you were a year ago,
like,
though.
Yeah. So anyways, so how it changes from up and down is so I still walk around and she'll say,
remember,
yeah, they're
Joey,
still he's
You
still
were walking up to people and you're like, look at my arms. I've got chills all over my arms. And then you would start looking up and you would start like shaking and then you would see it. Our own accountant lost his partner and you went in and were trying to channel his partner who had died. He had to shut his practice down and leave for the day. He was so freaked out by you. So that was going on daily. You were walking into places and trying to show people what you.
That's what you
thinking
do.
You had.
And
so you're freaking a lot of people out. I'm just saying this went on for a long time.
And you're right. And I was freaking out. And the whole idea, the whole thing about it is to wake up one day a certain way and then to be freaking out like that and not have the help that you need and to be being forced into something.
What is
Hold
that
on
help?
a minute. Exactly. What help is there? There's nothing. Who is it? To put me on medication? I'm on no medication now. Let me ask you this. Do I seem insane to you? Do you trust me with your kids?
I do now.
Do I look sane?
I always think, I'm like,
Well, then you're
making
questioning
the right decision?
Then you're questioning yourself. You're questioning yourself.
No, I'm not questioning myself.
Well,
I
you're
am.
not
Yes, I'm
questioning me.
questioning my judgment
Your
on
own
you.
sanity
Yes.
then.
Not
Your
my
own
insanity.
sanity because you look at
I'm
me.
questioning my judgment because do I really? It's weird. I thought I knew you for my whole life, and then you changed.
I did.
So that's scary. You know, like
it is scary as hell.
I
Well,
thought I trusted you. I thought I knew you, and then
Here's the crazy
you know.
part about everything, though. You know, change is the scariest thing in life. You know, that's why people stay the same. Because change is radical, it's scary, it freaks people out. Because like even when I changed in my own family, I remember I moved to Utah and started working for a company out there that my family thought was, you know, a little different. It's in Utah, Mormons, all these things. I'm the only black dude working there, all these things. But I came back home a different person. I came back home more connected to nature. I came back home not wanting to wake up and go to church. I wanted to do other things. I wanted to go and read different books. I wanted to learn different doctrines. I wanted to just engage with the fuller spectrum of life. And it scared me because I was like, for most of my life, I was one way, or I felt that I was one way. And now I can imagine what he felt for all of his life being one way. And then all of a sudden waking up and the switch was turned. And you don't know what the fuck to do because you don't know who to tell it to because everyone wants you to stay the same because they know you as this one way. So it is scary and challenging to accept people as they change.
Okay, wait.
It is.
Were you running around your backyard naked with Japanese swords?
I could have been.
Like
I
mean,
wasn't.
not running.
No.
Sprinting, doing backflips.
But
I mean, it was quite. It was like an Oscar-winning performance. What I saw in that backyard.
But so what I'm saying is I did, and it looked crazy. It does, but I'm not, and there's no help for people like that. What you're telling me is that, and you could say everyone still thinks, I don't care what they think. I'm cool. I'm very happy. I'm the most in love with myself I've ever been,
and that's
and
cool.
I've been able, and it's important. It's the most important thing. I think what happened was probably the most amazing thing that could have happened to me as a human being. I care more about people, about the planet.
No, totally.
So what is wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it today, but what took, you had an affair, you
I'm
you
not-
hurt me and the kids
I got all
throughout this
that. I
craziness.
understand that. I'm not taking
A lot
away
of
from
people
that.
were hurt along the way. It wasn't all about you, and that's.
I mean,
So
I'm not
I
saying
know
that.
you're trying to help everyone else, but along the way, you crashed your own family.
And
That was a big deal that you never really acknowledged.
I didn't acknowledge
it. Took a minute. You
What
were
do you
out. You were out
mean?
on the world, Joey. We were left to pick up all the pieces. The company was failing. Our 20-year-old son had to go in and take over the company. Okay, I'm just saying you were out trying to save the world, and you were on this mission, and that was great and all. But here I am learning that you cheated on me after being together 21 years. I have 4 kids.
So let me just interject for a minute.
It was like a bad situation.
Let me interject for a minute here, real quick. I want to talk about the things that we could talk about, because for me, breaking out the things about the failing, it's futile, because I set Dax up. I taught Dax what to do, how to run that business from the beginning to the end, from closing to accounting, everything. He's there because I taught him that.
Of course.
Okay, so
It's funny how things happen. We're lucky that he was taught those things.
Well, so if hindsight were foresight, I kind of knew it was happening, and I set up for this. Does it sound like pretty much correct?
Well, that's cool then.
Okay, so ultimately, my sole purpose, I understood I was going to be going through a change, and I set my family up to do that. That's why they're in a very good position. I walked away from it, and I was acting very strange. And I think that
By the way, we're in a good position because we all put ourselves where we are right now. We were in a very bad situation. When all this happened, we were in a horrible situation.
Not financially, you were not. Financially, you had.
I didn't get a paycheck for 9 months, Joey. I don't want to go into our details, but we were in a bad situation.
I don't want to do. Are you seriously?
You don't have to go there. I'm just saying.
Let's just stay on the
You just
topic.
sold. No.
It was bad. It was bad. The company was not doing well. It was not. Our son went in and changed a lot of things around, and we had to kind of take over everything from what you were doing there and restructure the whole place. That's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is, I have a question, and it's being very real. Do you think any drugs you took did anything to your mind? You think this is just a beautiful thing that happened in the middle of nowhere? You know, you don't think any drug you took or mixed together led you to where you are now?
I think that I don't know, because they say that it'll happen from like a loss, something traumatic happening. It could happen from a plant medicine. Ayahuasca will induce it. So it could be, but at the time there were so many things happening, and I don't know, because I tried to isolate that, to look at it and go back and go like, what caused that? What were the events that led to that? And I think that a cross between your dad, Jeff, there were so many things coming to this perfect kind of climax to where I don't know, and it went in waves, because it went away and it came back. And the more that it came, the less I was attached to financial things and money. And that's when I started giving things away, as you said. And it looked like people were taking advantage of me, but I was kind of disengaging from the energy of money, which I was so like hypnotized by before my whole life, and the things that I would do for it, and which I'm embarrassed to even talk about, because people are so much more important than that. And I was able to see that. And so when I started to convey it, because of the way people were normally used to me talking, I looked crazy, and I was doing crazy stuff. But as far as running things down, I think toward the end, maybe I didn't pay attention to it, but there was well enough there, and I don't think, and it just is, to my opinion, your opinion, you felt that it's so bad. Okay, that's fine. We all live in Malibu. We're all very comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. Trust me.
So, but let me just finish. I let you speak. So what I'm saying is that all those things were set up so that I feel I left so that they could keep going on with what they did. I set my son up to run the business. So if I wasn't being more attentive to the business, it was because I was losing my fucking mind. But ultimately, I needed help, and I wanted somewhere to turn, and she didn't understand, and it did look like the whole time she's still saying it looks crazy, and I don't feel I can go anywhere and I feel great. So if this is crazy, I'm cool with it. I'm fine.
But you're better now today than you were a year ago.
Oh,
I've come a long way.
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I didn't
Absolutely. This is the whole thing. Look, that's what I'm saying. We got to this side. In the middle of it, it was hard, but it was really hard for me in the middle of it seeing it, because I wanted you to know that I wasn't crazy, because I felt like, wow, I found something that's so amazing, but I looked crazy trying to convince you that I wasn't crazy.
I mean, you're looking at your arms, you're looking at the sky, you're looking all over. I mean,
you would too.
I don't see people like this on a daily basis. I don't.
But it's like saying somebody with cancer and making fun of them. Okay, if somebody is coming into something and doesn't know, these are things that were happening to me. I can't make myself have chills. So I was looking at it. So if you're making fun of it, I'm trying to find out.
Not making fun of anything. It was just like
I don't know.
Was bizarre behavior I wasn't used to seeing. That's all.
Did it ever happen to you before that?
No.
So I was tripping out.
No shit.
I was going, why is this happening? Why do I see images? Why do I see, I was able to see things that, that I didn't want to see. A lot of things that scared me. I mean, I set our whole house up on generators. I started dropping off thousands of pounds of food at churches.
We had a contractor come and measure all the windows. I think he spent like 20 grand on getting every window measured and putting hinges on them so that when that natural disaster happened, we could be all boarded into our home. The contractor was like, I've never had to do this in my life before. This is a first. I mean, we have plywood, and it got burned in the Malibu fires, but we had plywood to cover every window in our home. And it was craziness.
And it did. Look at.
He was buying bow and arrows that could kill animals for when the disaster happened. Like, the kids had so much fun with those. I mean,
Chaska is now, he's a full-on, like, archery is his thing. He found the box of bow and arrows. He opened the box, and he knows now he's good. He'll get his rabbit.
No, there was a lot of money spent that we saved our whole life on these things because of his paranoia and things that were happening. So it was a weird time. It was weird.
It was paranoia, but you know what? I started to see it, it threw me off. And so at first you want to start to save and do these things. And I talked to other teachers and other yogis because I was like, what is that? Why
did you buy tinfoil too? And
no, I asked. Everyone does different things though. A lot of people kill themselves.
Yeah, they do. Suicide is huge.
We can laugh. It's funny. We can laugh about
Suicide
it, but
is huge.
You would never, ever.
Well, what I'm saying is, you said earlier that if it wasn't this, if I didn't have Kundalini Yoga, it would have been the other. I would have probably drove my truck off a cliff. And I even said that to you because when I started hearing Jeff talk to me, it scared the fuck out of me, and I didn't understand what it was because I knew my life with you, and like if I looked at you, things were normal to me. Like to me, I was like, okay, I'm safe. I'm cool. You know what I mean? It was the first time to where I didn't have grasp of that because it was a different thing that I wasn't able to understand. And have you ever saw me nervous or scared? I was always able to keep everything kind of, stoically stuck in there to where I had it, hid. But on this, I couldn't, and I didn't know how to express it. So I went in head first, the way we did everything else. And I know
for me, like I wanted to protect you, but I couldn't because I saw so many people around you that they were all these opportunists, like sticking on to you at this time because they saw someone weak. They did. No. And you were giving too much to the wrong people for a long time.
I've had people like that all my whole life sticking to me.
But
when you're a person, hold on a minute. When people generate money, they have hanger honors. That's the way it is.
Very true.
That's it.
True.
That's very true.
So, but you're right. I was confused. And ultimately, as much as you annoy the fuck out of me, it was good that you were there to do the things you did. No, it was because I was in confusion, but I also too didn't really care about money as much. So it's important. You obviously live on this planet, but I was trying to balance in to understand what was real, what was not, and that balance between heaven, man, and earth became the reality of that became like that quick. And I was like, because my mom was went to Catholic schools, and I raised my kids Jewish because I just didn't believe I was a sinner when I was born. Just wasn't my thing.
And then when I'm listening, it conjures up, these stories conjure up stories, for me at least, of Jim Carrey, stories of Tom Shadyac, stories of Ricky Williams. People who have gone so far from who we know them as that we call them crazy. Like Ricky Williams, I looked at him for years and I thought he was crazy. I had people tell me, that dude, you watch a documentary, like, what is he doing? How do he play football? Run his face to another man's face for 20 years and then say, you know what, make a bunch of money. I won a Heisman Trophy. I'm going to go live in a tent in Australia. What? Or Tom Shadyac, who I guess bumped his head on the PCH and decided to start giving his money away and actually created a documentary that I love.
So Tom and me live 4 houses down. And so when this happened, everybody was saying, this guy, Tom, same type of thing happened to him. Da, da, da. And I was like, Lynn, remember Lynn? Lynn was the one who said that. I had no idea who he was. But he went through an awakening, but I think it was caused by a bicycle accident. And the same type of thing. He started, I think he's still doing it, feeding homeless people, giving his money away, and he looked crazy, and everybody in Hollywood said he was crazy, and he happened to live 4 mobile home trailers down from me. I'm the other, you look at, it's like you being the one black guy, you'll find the only other black guy. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing. I found that dude, and when we didn't become best friends because I stayed to myself, and he's obviously doing his thing, but it was something very similar happening. And you can tell when people start talking differently, we start to, they get that twinkle in their eye.
For sure.
And I definitely, I definitely went through a change. I'm not saying I'm completely on the other side of it, but what I'm saying is that now we're raising our kids. And you can see there's some fire.
There's still fire.
But it's the fire, the difference of opinions in where I was at, where she was at, where we're coming from, where she's going, where I'm, and trying to raise our kids in a way that we make sense in doing it. And we're not always going to agree on it.
The kids did not want to go near you until recently.
No,
and it's just recently become.
And I had to leave. Like when she said, you left. Like, well, I had everybody in Malibu was like, you're fucking nuts. You're crazy. You're talking with your hands. 'Cause I was. I was doing this thing, and she was like, what are you doing with your hands? I'm like, I don't know, but it feels good, and I start to see these images in my head. I don't know what it means. So then people would be like, oh, he's walking around doing this hand thing, and so I did look crazy, and so the easiest thing for me to do was to leave, and I started traveling. I went to India and Egypt, and started to find out what that energy was that I was picking up on.
And first, let's recognize that you only look crazy because you live in America and you live in a society that has so many barriers and limitations to understanding spirit. Let's be real. In this country, we profit more off of broken souls than anything. We profit off of people.
Would you consider yourself spiritual?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. 100%.
I believe it.
You don't think I'm spiritual?
So no, I do. But I just say, but you believe
I believe
my
own thoughts.
But no, I know, and I do believe you are spiritual. I know. You were the one reading these books, and I used to go like.
This is my thing. Like I wake up every morning happy with a big heart, ready to help whoever needs help. Just for me myself, I don't need to go to someone to teach me how to be that way or pay anyone to teach me how to be a good person. I wake up and it's in me and it's in my heart, and I live my life a certain way because. That's the way I want to be and choose to be. I don't go to someone to get that and teach me it. So, and to each his own, whatever everyone needs. So everything that you know now, you got all by yourself? I got it through trial and error. No,
you got it by learning from everybody.
From what?
Learning from everybody.
Absolutely. Everyone's every day I learn something new.
Right.
Every day.
So so what you're saying is, if you're insinuating, I don't go to pay anyone to go tell me anything, but what I do is I went to somebody to help me. What you just said in the beginning of the conversation is that it was the one thing that helped me. I surrounded myself with people that were doing Kundalini yoga and became a Kundalini yoga teacher, which probably saved my life, which it did. And it helped me. It helped me understand this energy.
I think it's great. I love that you did it. And that's why I'm here right now. Like we could be friends finally after all this craziness because you're a better person. You are. You're calmer. You're happy. I'm friends with your girlfriend. She's a
But you
sweetheart.
believe, she's sweet. So you believe,
She's sweet.
so you believe other people talk, just not me. And that's okay.
Wait, what do you mean?
But
What do you mean other people?
The one thing I want to make sure is that I want to ask you is that, so you do believe that there's communication with people that aren't here. You believe in that?
If it makes sense, if it absolutely makes sense, and someone's telling me something that, like, say someone's saying, I could talk to your dad right now.
That's normal.
I would know by the message they give me if it's real or not. No one has been able to do that yet. But am I open to it? Absolutely.
So you've never, have you ever done a reading before?
I have, and none of them have ever been on point. None.
Never once ever?
Never. Tell me one time.
I don't know, because I'm just asking if I don't.
Never. Not one has ever been. And look,
but
I'm open
also
to,
you're not
that's
open.
one thing with me.
You're not open.
If
you're open, you'd be
open to anything. Yes, I am.
You don't sound very open.
Okay. I've been to a reading where she said my grandma had.
I know.
There's so many freaks out there. Okay,
there is.
I have to be.
Have discernment.
I'm where I'm at from a lot of shit I've seen and been through, and so are you. Okay, we're both clever. We're not book smart. We're street smart. And is it raining outside?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god. We're smart people. We are. I can look at someone and whether I agree with what they're saying or not, it doesn't matter. But if something's real, it's real, and if it's not, I know right away. I just do.
But you've always been very straight. That's what I appreciate about you. Is very straightforward. And on that, and the way it is that you are the type of person. It is what it is. If it makes sense,
I'm down.
I got it.
I'm like, okay.
Well, that changes when you start to hear other things. But if this happens, it does, because you know how I was. But if this happened to one of your kids, what would you do? Because they would start to feel that
I would put them. Well, I would have gotten medical help.
And what is that medical help?
I tried to take you to UCLA, but you did not want to go that route. I wanted you to get the top professional help.
And what was
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, or what. I don't know what the right thing to do.
They wanted me on medication.
They wanted to try to medicate you to see if it would help your situation that you were in. But you were opposed to it completely.
I wanted to do yoga.
You wanted to do your way, and you did.
And
that's your path in life.
And it
that's
worked.
fine.
And it worked. So hold on. So we're getting there. We're almost there. But it worked. It helped. So what I'm saying is just for the kids, just because, like, all seriousness, and not even kidding, is if you look at the suicide rate for men under 40,
it's unreal.
It's
unreal.
It's sad.
No,
it's
it's completely sad. But imagine now the way I was acting. That's what it would look like. So they would only think like, oh, that guy's running down the street, jumping up and down, and could commit suicide, freaking out because he doesn't know what's going on.
So if it was one of our kids, what would you do?
I would immediately go talk to him because I went through it. I know what to do.
You would not get the medical help?
No, absolutely not. That's like that's like a death sentence, or giving them, they could get locked up forever. There's people in there that aren't safe. It's like you throw away the key because once they have you, you're stuck there in that system.
It's a tough situation. This is
You
a
were
tough
stuck
because
in
look
that
at
system.
a tough one.
Like
It
in
is.
this country specifically, we don't have a protocol for spiritual awakening. We don't have a protocol for any contact with spirit. You go to Peru, you go to Brazil.
What's the protocol for someone buying 400 boxes of tinfoil and running around the yard
Oh,
naked with guns?
trust me, if you bring-
with swords and being a ninja.
Hold on a minute.
You tell me what the protocol for that is.
No, but the protocol is to
Somebody
see what's
knows.
wrong.
Somebody
is-
would know.
Okay, so let me tell you. Your mom and I and your sister met this guru in the market. We paid him, I think, $1,000 to come and check on you. And he said he could heal you, and he knew exactly what you were going through. Wow. I forgot the guy's name. He came to the house. He did all this sage. He laid you in the backyard. You freaked out at his wife. Do you remember? I don't know if you even remember this. She was scary to you, and you told her to leave. He stayed and tried to treat you. He brought you in the shower. He took a shower with you. He got out. He goes, call 911. Something's not right. He goes, something's not right. You don't remember. This was right in the mix of it all. We tried everything.
So what
it wasn't
is
like
it?
we were just like, oh, fuck, he's crazy. We brought in people. We tried everything.
What I'm saying is that every time we'll keep coming to it, and the thing that we keep pointing at is how crazy that I looked. Correct? And so now think about this. If this happened to Chaz, what would you do?
Take him to UCLA and get a team of experts to try and help us figure it out. And, I don't know. Or trust some yogi that says he's
Honestly.
gifted with that. I don't know.
But you're going into with complete, or you would send them to me. That's up to you. That's up to you.
No, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't happen to anyone else. I don't wish this on anyone.
It happens
This
all the
was
time.
tragic and gnarly to go through.
And
As
so
a
what would you want to do?
family,
Right, okay,
like,
so
this
what
was
would
heavy
you
for
want
all
to
of
do the
us.
next time?
This
It's
broke up
completely
our
heavy.
entire family, okay?
Right.
It was a big deal. So I don't know the answers to this. I wish I knew. Trust me. I don't know. What I do know, and I'll keep it on a positive because I can go on and on. You're in a good place right now. Your life is good right now. So it is what it is,
So if you saw a case, because I'm probably a hard nut to crack, if you saw this something that it worked with me, wouldn't you go as a human being? When your kid's sick, you'll do anything. I know you will do anything you can to make sure your kid is sane and healthy. You will do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. You'll bend law. You'll do whatever it takes. And so if you knew that I went through something that helped me, it's right here. You just say, what was it? What could we do?
It wasn't like that. Trust me.
I'm not saying that maybe not now, but it is now now.
Now it's different. Yeah.
And I'm saying for our son, and all of us have this is something that we all have. It's that we drowned it out with drugs, drinking, and the daily shit that gets in our way. And that's what meditation does. It's like taking out the garbage. You just kind of clear that out so that you could actually understand incoming information. Because really what we are, Jacy, is antennas. And so if we think that really we're in control of what's happening here and like how we're not in control. And that's what I figured out when that happened. And it scared me, and I'm much more grounded now, and love you for being here. And I'm glad. And I get annoyed because there's certain things you might say that get me annoyed, and that's normal. I'm cool with it.
This is huge. He didn't react. Like, you've been calm and collective, and just that two people can come into a room after being married 21 years and go through what we went through, affairs and this situation that who knows what the fuck it was, and that we can get along. And this is a cool thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the number one thing is that was more important than anything is when you thought I was going away and just leaving, was to come back as looking like a sane person, so I could get back my family, which I was separated from, and show you that I wasn't crazy and that this is something that I just felt really important to my heart, and I wanted to share with you because the people that are the most closest to you are the people that you want to share the most important things in your life with, and so I was trying to convey that, but because of the way it looked, like mental illness and the way that it was painted in the picture that I painted, the way I projected the way it felt, it scared everybody, and I'm sorry for that. But ultimately, if we could use this platform to talk about it and get other doctors to help people and help other kids.
You say doctors. You just say doctors.
because I think we have right now, there's doctors, we're talking to psychiatrists and psychologists to put a hotline together that are spiritually trained to help people like this that could be maybe about to shoot themselves or jump off a building or do one of the other things that you may do, take drugs because they think they're having racing thoughts, anxiety attacks, things to where you might think that you're overthinking. And if I feel that by bringing attention to it and other ways to help it, only benefits us as a human race. I feel that because it's the most amazing thing that can happen to you, right? Imagine me, a hardened person. I've been shot at. I've been like that type of guy. And right now, if you ask me, I want to help the world. And I'm looking at who I am now, and I do love it. And I look back at the old person I was. It's embarrassing.
You were a piece of work.
I
Your
know.
sister and I were very close, and she would always say, she goes, you deserve a medal. Like, how do you do it? Your mom would tell me that.
Look, they told you the first day you met me.
I know.
So
I knew what I was getting
You
myself
knew.
into.
disclaimer.
No, it was a fun ride. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna it was fun until the swords and the tinfoil came out. And no, I'm
Look,
kidding.
and it's true. Look, and if I could change it, in all honesty, if we were to go back, like if that would happen, I don't know where we'd be. But we were very, very close in that. If we had something to help us at the time,
You were not this like you were a difficult man.
No,
Like,
I was.
you were,
But what I'm saying, if we both had something to where we could point to where she had something else to look at and go, wait, I might have a other way to be able to address this and help
Yeah.
this. Maybe there would have been a different outcome.
Yeah,
But
for
everything happens for a reason, and,
Yeah.
and we're both good with it. And we're raising our kids this way now, so it's this kind of balance between, the space between is trying to keep it to a place to where I don't seem crazy. I can't come out there looking like Mr. Yogi Joe talking out there all ethereal because they're not going to get it. So, on
I
the
think we were
street,
so traumatized. So when we see it, it just brings us back
It's a
to
trigger.
it triggers all the
Yeah,
shit we
it
saw
does.
that.
it
for
does.
sure.
It
So
does.
it was like-
It does. But we laugh about it.
We do.
Now,
We joke about it.
all day.
You have to. We have to laugh. We've laughed at we've been through a lot of tragic shit together.
And just to come, honestly, to come in here right now, this wound is not healed.
Clearly.
We're still but I feel that this is also part of our healing, and I'm really grateful that you came in, and seriously, I'm seriously grateful you came in, and yeah, you irritate the shit out of me, but I'm even with our kids, and I'm thankful.
Wait, why do I irritate you? Because you don't want to hear the truth? No, I'm kidding.
No,
Yo, she's hilarious.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love your outspokenness, and it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think that ultimately, because of the way you are, has made you the mom that you are, and I was able to go off and understand what was happening to me because I knew that you had the kids taken care of. That's really what's up. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, Joey.
So on
That
that
was so
note,
beautiful. Well, and honestly, I just want to make a comment on the rain because I realized recently rain is very cleansing. Whenever it rains, that means something is being cleansed. So today's episode was a lot. I don't know if I truly want to get married. No, I'm just kidding.
By the way, I don't think anyone should ever. I'm having so much fun being single.
Actually, can you tell us what was your last date? Who?
Oh, I'm not. You can go there.
who'd you date?
I'm not saying.
But anyway, who guys?
Not going there right now. But
wanna
I'm
thank-
having fun. That's for
She's
sure.
having fun.
And I'm not dating anyone that's in the yogi world.
I'm sure he's a good fella, anyways.
He's listen, guys. Today was amazing. As you heard, the topic was the fine line between mental health and spirituality. We discussed a lot of things. I hope you guys got the message. Here's a closing message that I want to just deliver. Let's stop playing the shame game, guys, as humans. And let's learn that this big ride that we're on is very, very, very wide. And there's a lot of roads that we can take. So don't always try to fit into some mold that the world wants you to. Be yourself and find out who that is. And that might be the craziest thing in the world. All right? So that's it, guys. Thank you, Jacy, for coming through. She got my
Satnam.
same name. Joey, the co-host, and your boy, Pastor Positive. We out of here. Thank you so much. Satnam.
Out.